You've got 1 second to grab attention on social media, but there's one thing that always grabs attention, and that's motion. It's why I love creating animated social content. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how, with just a few really simple elements in Canva, you can create a scroll-stopping animated video. Perfect for photo dumps, product showcases, events, or just for adding a trendy editorial vibe to your grid. I'm going to start this design with an Instagram post size. You can of course do this with any format that works for you, but I think this animation will work well in this format, so we're going to go with that 4:5 ratio. Because I want this to be a video, the first thing I'm going to do is click the duration button on the bottom left to open up the timeline view. And next I'm going to name my design. I know it's a small thing, but it makes such a difference to keeping your dashboard organized and being able to find your design when you need it. I actually even cover this in my Canva course because I know so many people struggle with organization in Canva, and naming is one of the easiest ways to help that. In the design, the first thing I want to do is to add a simple text box. I do this by using the keyboard shortcut T, and then I'm just going to type in the word summer, because the theme of this video is all about summer vibes. I'm going to make that text box a little bigger, and then I'm going to go to the top left and change the font. I'm not going to use my brand font for this. I'm actually going to look through the Canva fonts list. I'm going to filter by sans serif fonts, and then I'm just going to scroll down until I find a nice clean modern one that works for me. And I think I'm going to use this one called Code Pro. Now once that's applied to my text box, I'm just going to resize it a bit and then click and drag the text box so that it's centered on the page vertically and horizontally. I'm going to do that by dragging it until it kind of snaps to the center guides that appear on the page. Next, I'm going to duplicate that text box 3 times, either by just clicking the duplicate icon, by copying and pasting, or by holding Shift and Option or Alt as I click and drag the text box. Next, I'm going to delete letters in each of those. So we end up with 3 text boxes that each have 2 letters of the word in, making up the full word when they're joined. Now obviously if you have a word with different amounts of letters, just split it in a way that works for you. If you have an odd number of letters, you could add a hashtag at the beginning, or maybe a full stop or exclamation mark at the end, or just leave a single letter in the middle. Experiment to see what works for you and what looks good, but we need to end up with 3 text boxes. Now I'm going to align those edited text boxes with the full word, so the spacing looks natural and just as it is in that full word. Then I'm going to go to Position and Layers and delete the text box that contains the full word. Next, we're going to go to Elements and Frames, and we're just going to click to add a simple square image frame to the page. Now this next bit is where you get to have fun and experiment and play around. I'm going to duplicate this image frame 5 more times, and then I'm going to position them all around the page in different locations and also make them different sizes. There is no rule for how to do this, or any particular way that is correct. The idea is just to make it a little haphazard, but play around with it until it looks good and works for you, and there's some variety in spacing and size around the page. Next, we add in our images. Now, as I mentioned, my theme for this is summer vibes, so I've been looking for some images from the Canva image library, and I'm just going to click and drag them into these image placeholders. Now, obviously, you can do the same with any uploaded images you've got, or even video clips if you really want to. Next, we're going to duplicate this entire page. We can do that by clicking on it in the timeline and just using Ctrl+C to copy and then Ctrl+V to paste. Or we can just click on the 3 dots and choose Duplicate. On the second page, we're going to split the text apart, leaving the center box with the middle letters where it is, but moving the outer text to the left and to the right. We're also going to move and resize each of the image frames so they're in a slightly different position and are a slightly different size. And we'll be doing this again, so each one can kind of get its moment in the spotlight. Then we duplicate that page and follow the same process. But this time we're going to move the left-hand text box up and the right-hand text box down into the corners. And again, change the spacing and sizing of the image frames. Then we duplicate that page. And we keep doing this, following the same process, moving the text boxes on each successive slide so that they essentially move around the outer edge of the page from corner to corner until we bring them back to that vertical center. So there should be 7 slides in total now, including our first slide. Then we're going to click on that very first slide, copy and paste or duplicate it, and move it to the end. So essentially the whole thing comes full circle in terms of where the text is. Next, I'm going to click between any 2 of the slides, and I'm going to choose Add Transition and choose our old favorite Match and Move. Next, I'll select all of the pages in the timeline and go to the little contextual menu bar at the top to change the timing on each of the pages to about 1.5 seconds. If we now hit play, we can see immediately how this all comes together. This is where you can play with the timings of the match and move transition and of the individual page durations to create a pace of animation that works for you. I think it needs to move pretty quickly, but I also want to try and create a fairly smooth transition between the pages, lengthening that match and move transition. So just using simple elements, we now have a really effective editorial style animation that showcases the images and creates really dynamic movement. And one of the key things about how we intentionally created this is that it creates a loop. And that, along with the fast-paced changes of the image frames, encourages people to watch it multiple times, which of course is really great for engagement. Now before we add the finishing touches to this, to really up the impact, if you are looking for stylish, fully animated reel templates to easily customize for your brand or business, then if you head to the link in the description below the video or on the screen right now, you can grab my pack of 6 animated vertical video Canva templates to download completely free. Plus I got a little carried away and I created a free mini course that accompanies them to show you how to make the most of your free templates. Now going back to our video, to take this to the next level and really up the engagement, I suggest adding music to this. Now there are of course a few options for how you can do this. You could add something from Instagram's own library when you upload the video, which means you could use some trending audio which might help, or you can browse Canva's music library and listen to the tracks until you find one that works for you, or use whatever audio library you prefer. One of my favorites is called Upbeat, and this is where I found the track I'm going to use today. I'll actually link to Upbeat in the description below the video so you can check that out if you're interested. Now once you've uploaded or chosen your track, just click and drag it into the timeline under the pages. When that's in the timeline, I'm just going to listen through a few times and adjust any timings if I think it will help to make the whole thing work better with the music. You can actually use Canva's beat sync feature as well to do this. It's designed to automatically sync page transitions to the beats in the music track you've imported. Sometimes it still needs a little tweaking, but that really just depends on how picky you want to be. So, with our music added and our timings adjusted, we end up with a really slick animated video that you can use to showcase anything for your business, or as an advert, or even just to create a vibe. Something that looks a little bit like this. This design is so flexible and so simple and can be used for a whole range of things just by changing the images in the frames and adjusting the colors and fonts. Have fun, experiment with this idea, and put your own spin on it. And just remember, effective animation doesn't need to be complicated. Right, that's it folks. I so appreciate you being here. I know it's rough out there right now for a lot of us, so please take care of yourselves and look out for each other. Have a fabulous week.